welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dawes-Burton, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. I've missed you guys. Yeah, because I was off the first Sunday of the month because it was House in the Park Day. Yes, and we had a great time. We had a great day in the park. It was a great weekend with the ATL Weekender. I was a sponsor for that. I was a sponsor for House in the Park. It was a wonderful weekend for all of us house heads here in Atlanta. I was just honored and humbled to be a part of it. And thank you everybody that came out, showed love, showed support. The whole thing. It was just great. So it was great to be off, but I do miss you when I'm not here doing a live show. So we're here. You know what it is. Every first and third Sunday, we are here at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about things that impact us as women. That's what the brand is all about. I want to thank all of the new listeners because my guest today, I love her. I really like her. She's a phenomenal. And I know there's a lot of people that are listening for the first time. So I want to give a little background as to what Real Chicks Rock is all about. It's all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service engagement, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the arts. Now, the arts is this, like this particular platform where we have an opportunity to talk to people that are doing things that we feel in the community that are changing. They're like change agents. They are doing some things. They're creating legacy work. They are creating a footprint. They are all about raising awareness, giving us information that we need, we might have missed, we're not paying attention. Whatever it is, we want to talk about it here on this platform. Today is no different. Today we're going to talk to someone I think that is a beautiful person, a beautiful woman, a mom, a wife, a business person, just been moving and shaking in the Atlanta area for a couple of years now. And we had a very good conversation a few months back because we had a mutual friend and we ended up in the same place at the same time, and we knew of each other, but we actually broke bread. And I was like, this person is really doing some great things. I need to have her on the show. And when I invited her to be on the show, she was super excited. She said, yes. So today my guest is Kimberly Stewart-Lucas. Hi, Kimberly.
Hello.
How are you, beautiful thing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am good. I know. There's things you've had a busy week, so I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. A lot of different things are going on. Today's topic is the Reclamation Project. That is right. Yes, look at that smile on her face when you talk about that. And before we get into that, Kimberly, tell the people, where are you from?
Well, I was born in New York State, but I am a Georgia peach. I've been here since 1979, with the exception of 3 years in New Jersey, but this is my home. I know Atlanta and the surrounding areas the most. Yeah. So I'm a Georgia peach.
You're claiming Georgia as your home. Okay. So tell me what it was like as a child here in Georgia. Was it Georgia, now let's help the people. Because there's Georgia, and then there's Atlanta, and then there's College Park, and then there's East Point, and then there's Smyrna, and there's Decatur. So where are your roots at in Georgia?
Those places that you mentioned now. We moved here, 30311. Is the road that I claimed because that was where we first lived. Peyton Forest. Back then it was Hightower Station. Now I think it's called H.E. Holmes.
Yes.
My sister went to Southwest Middle School. I went to Peyton Forest Elementary School. Then she went to Northside. And when we moved to Jersey, like I said, for a few years, came back. Then I moved to Alpharetta. Okay. Not Atlanta.
Yeah. No, that is not.
Different from Atlanta.
Right.
But we still went to Ben Hill United Methodist Church. That was my home church. Mm-hmm. So we still had connection to that 30311 area.
Yeah.
And then let's see, Grant Park, Avondale Estates, Sandy Springs, and now I'm in Riverdale.
Yeah.
Atlanta, forever I love Atlanta.
Yeah.
Forever I love Atlanta. I had a conversation with someone a few weeks ago that actually sparked an interest, and might be going into something that I may be doing, but talked about the old school Atlanta, talked about old new bourgeoisie Atlanta, Black bourgeoisie, talked about the political scene in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And there's something I may want to do with that. I may want to do a podcast. I used to go to school with John Lewis's son.
Wow.
My sister went to school with Maynard Jackson's son. These are politicians who sent their kids to public school.
Right.
And, we went to school together, and so I've seen Atlanta come from a mighty long way. And I love the city. Love the city.
Yeah, I can tell. It's all over your face. And you got some other arms and things that we're going to talk about. But as we continue this conversation, Kimberly, help us understand a couple of things, because you love Atlanta so much, right? So you're a daughter, mom and dad. Tell us a little bit about the inner workings of your home that sparked some of the creative juices that we see with you today. Tell us what happened when you were a little younger. And I'm just going to say players. So how did that happen?
It's interesting because, that didn't kind of come about. I'm going to be honest. I didn't feel creative when I was younger.
Okay.
My sister is, and she's older. She's on a radio station here, on the DJs on, I don't know if I can say it or not. If I can.
You can say it. You can say it.
Okay, she's on 102.9 FM.
Okay.
Saturdays and Sundays, Donna Shealy. And my sister I always felt was a creative one,
Wait a minute, pause. Donna Shealy is your sister.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that. I listen to her every weekend. Hey, Donna.
That's my big sister.
Is that right? She does a great job on the weekend. She has a great voice. Yay,
Yeah,
hey, sis.
She's amazing.
Yes, she is.
And she's multi-talented.
Mm-hmm.
And, still dancing and still doing amazing things. And, I always was the person to start like clubs and, get into things at school. I was, really into school, and it wasn't until later that I got into my creative energy and really started to appreciate, what I could create. But what you're speaking of, were these magazines that my father had.
Yes.
Players magazines, yes. And my father was a consummate collector. They were like an important stamp collection. He had them in binders by the year, and he locked them up in the file cabinets. And I've always been a precocious, rambunctious, rabble-rousing kind of investigatory person. And so I would break into these file cabinets and look at these magazines. Because once it's like you keep something away, it's like you have an interest in what is it? What are you really hiding?
Right.
And when I looked in these magazines, I just saw images of beautiful Black women, natural bodies, airy, thick bodies. It was something like, oh, okay, when I get older, it's okay to look like that.
Okay.
And that was just something I kind of, held in my memory. And then when I got older, and my father still had these magazines in his home at the time, and I was like, Daddy, what do you do with these? You just collect them, and so I gathered a few. They also Jet Magazine had an annual new calendar. There was a publication called Oh Brother. So there were several magazines. Pam Grier graced the cover of many of them.
Okay, come on, Pam.
Pam Grier is I have the original poster when she was on the Chase Lounge with the afro and the wine. The original poster.
Wow.
But I got hold of a couple of magazines and thought about, what would I do with this? This is like maybe 12 years ago. What could I do with this?
Okay.
And at the time, I think I was working for a school, I was working for a church. It always seemed like a conflict of interest.
Okay.
To do something with this magazine, and then things came to fruition. Now, prior to it even becoming an idea to do a art show, a few friends of mine, Linda Costa, who was a photographer, a light photographer, my friend and sister, Melissa Thomas, who actually in the logo, she's the middle person.
Okay, the one right there.
My shirt is not, there we go. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
So this image came from a photo shoot we just did in my living room one night. Linda Costa took these amazing pictures, and also represented in this picture is our angel, Jamila Ma'at Nation, who passed away in 2011. And we just, were looking at the magazines and having wine, and it wasn't a concept then to do an art
Right.
We just wanted to take pictures. We were emulating some of the photos. And then we did an image like that. And I wish I had the original to show you. But that is what eventually became the logo.
Okay.
And like I said, years later, I always felt a conflict of interest because of where I was working.
Yeah, yeah. And let's talk about that just a little bit. I really want to take it back to your mom and
Mm-hmm.
dad, right? So dad is holding and having and keeping and saving these magazines. Did
Mm-hmm.
mom feel a way about that because of the nudity and the content of them, or what?
You know, in talking to her about it, I don't think so. You know,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because it was his collection and he kept them private. He didn't have them
Laid
spread
out.
around.
Right.
So me finding them and my sister finding them, that was something that we got into.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was like, okay, here the magazines are, you know. So, but I don't, you know, she came to the discussion that we had a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had a panel discussion about it.
Right.
And she remembers, you know, the magazine. She doesn't really speak ill about it.
Okay. That's good.
Doesn't really speak ill about it.
That's good because, you know, I was talking to a friend just yesterday that time, you know, when we were younger and our parents, they didn't talk, we didn't hear them talk about sex. Like sex wasn't a common conversation, even nudity. We don't even talk about sex, just about people expressing themselves by showing their breast or their behind or whatever. Just and we didn't hear, at least I know I did not hear conversations where people were really admiring, you know, the art form of the Black woman. It was either maybe a little bit on the porn side perhaps, but not necessarily from an artistic perspective. And you know, everybody had Jet magazine, everybody. If you, I'm trying to tell you, everybody had Jet. But we never stopped at page 42. How about I know the middle, the page he was on. And we never stopped there, Kimberly, and say, oh, now for me, I looked at it and said, oh, that's a nice bathing suit. And, you know, and those weren't nude, but still was very sexual to open up a magazine and see Black people that looked like you, had afros, sometimes they had some braids, maybe they wore a wig, they were light-skinned, dark-skinned, you couldn't tell if they were short or not. They had boobage, some were a little not as endowed, some had hips. It was a whole thing.
All
It was
sides.
a whole thing. It was all right. It was a big thing. So I was like, this is like, wow. And the other People magazine and other magazines weren't doing that, but Jet took the step to do that. And we still didn't talk about the beauty of what we saw. We know boys like them, but we never talked about the beauty. So when you have this panel discussion, mom is good. She didn't really feel ill about it, right?
I don't think so. You know, and Jet took it a step further because
Yeah.
they had the nude annual calendar
That's
too.
what
I've got the
you telling me, yeah.
74, 75, 76 edition.
Right.
I mean, women, it's, you know, some of the images are a woman sewing or a woman answering the phone, or they're just natural images.
But naked. But nude.
But naked.
Yeah.
Because sometimes at home you do that.
Yeah. I mean, if people weren't doing it before, they probably did it now in the pandemic. And if they had a house full of people, they probably had to put clothes on. So it's one or the other. But you're absolutely right. You do find yourself doing a lot of things nude because it's just a natural state.
Natural state, where we came, where we gonna leave.
Yeah.
And the way, and you know, so the Reclamation Project.
Yes.
It's my love letter to Black women.
Thank you.
It is my love letter to Black women, hoping that we embrace the bodies that we are in, that we love who we are, where we are.
Yes.
And, you know, all of us may be trying to improve upon, you know, lose weight,
Right.
gain weight, however, and that's fine.
Right.
But you have to love where you are in the process, because your body just didn't get that way.
Right.
You made your body that way most of the time. And I think, you know, the messages that we're told are, you know, to obtain that, go there, but not to fully embrace and love where you are, because you'll always be seeking for something else.
Right.
You know, I know people who've lost tons of weight but still see themselves as another version of themselves. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what that experience is like, but again, you know, embracing where you are and reclaiming what you got is so important, because the world is telling, especially Black women, that we ain't it, but we are.
Yeah, say that part again. That part again, Kimberly.
We are it.
We are it. We're everything. We're all that.
Beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It is a lot of voices out here, Kimberly, unfortunately. And some of it stems from, you and I talked about it a little bit, you know, just as kids, you know, growing up, if we don't hear the affirmations, then we're always going to be seeking, right? Kids are going to be kids, right? You know, your head is a little big, or, you know, your hair, you didn't comb your hair, or your sneakers weren't on point, or your pants were a little high. Kids are always going to say something, right? But when people start calling you ugly, or if people don't acknowledge the fact that you are pretty or beautiful, then you start feeling away. Am I right, Kimberly? I saw the finger.
Listen, the silence.
Yes.
Sometimes is, not even sometimes, the silence is a message in itself.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing people, you know, I wasn't told that I was ugly, but also we weren't told that we were beautiful.
Okay.
And there is a void in that as well.
Yep. Yep.
And so I think, you know, some people, well, I didn't, you know, talk bad to my kid. Well, did you speak life into them?
There you go. There you go.
Speak beauty? Did you speak brilliance? Because those things become question marks too.
Right.